Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Ooh, my hair looks not so great today. Hi, everybody. Hi, Mr. Lightning Keyboards. How are you doing today? Did I spell keyboards right?
Hi.
I'm always self-conscious about spelling the word keyboards.
It looks right to me.
It looks right to me. It's all the
you
capital
got it.
letters throwing me off. I'm here for Digo. Me too. Digo best. Chase, how are you doing today?
Hello.
I'm doing great.
That's good to hear. Is everyone okay for volumes? Can you guys hear everyone okay? I'm hoping. Mr. Diego, if you guys are not familiar with Lightning Keyboards, you guys can hit ! guest, by the way, or ! Keebcast, I think it is. One of the two. Mr. Lightning Keyboards is also a streamer. He's been in the hobby. How long have you been in the hobby? For a while.
Let's see. It's February 27th. I've been in the hobby since December 3rd, 2016. That was my first meetup that I attended and my first day getting deep into the hobby.
So did you attend?
I've been around for like four years
Damn.
and a couple months now.
Damn. So did you attend a meetup before you bought Keebs, or was this something that you were kind of interested in, so you went to a meetup?
So I actually knew about keyboards way before that, maybe like a whole year before that. Kind of like I already had like full size with MX Brown's cooler masterboard,
Oh yeah.
all that good stuff with good old co-star stabs and But this was like back in college. So in college I had a close friend of mine. So I studied electrical engineering, and so I had a close friend of mine who was really into restoring stuff. Kind of like going to like the electronic dump area to like recover like typewriters or random like monitors and like random parts and stuff. We would just like tinker around with that kind of stuff. So I would just always go with him and we would just hang out. And he was into when like grab bags were kind of popular. So he was into like grab bag keycap trading and that kind of stuff. And like collecting like switches of different kinds. So I knew of the hobby, right? I was just exposed to it at a very surface level. I was like, oh cool, that sounds very tedious though. And then later on when I started working, and then I decided to come back to school basically. I was interviewing, and on the interview trail I met this guy who was also in the hobby. And on the flight back from this interview we started talking, and he happened to live very nearby. Like he pretty much happened to live right across the street from me. He
wow.
worked at pretty much right across my building, and it was like, okay. And then he was like, let's hang out and whatnot. And one weekend he was like, hey dude, I actually saw on Reddit that there's this mechanical keyboards meetup, and I've never been to one. Do you wanna come with me? And this was the first DC area, like Washington DC area meetup. Yeah. So that's the first meetup I went to. And but before that I had never like touched like a custom mechanical keyboard or anything like
so
that.
That's
like,
interesting. Like the timeline then. So you went to a meetup, then kind of got into into it more, right?
Yeah, I went to that meetup and my life changed completely. Like simply said, like I discovered Topre, I discovered like Ergo Clears and Zelios, which were like pretty much just in the first few rounds. I think like it was like round 2 or round 3.
Sure, yeah.
And then like smooth linears. Like I've never tried like properly like smooth like loop linears or whatever. Of course GMK and SA, all that stuff. So actually when I came back home after that meetup, which was only like 4 or 5 hours long, I ordered a Nova Touch and an HHKB that same night because I liked Topper so much at the meetup. And then I was like, I'm gonna try MX later, but for now I want to try this Topper thing on my desk right now. So I ordered 2 keyboards that same night. I became like obsessed with it.
Jampot asked Lightning, do you still know the guy?
Yeah, I know. I mean, like all of these people I still talk to. They're pretty much like friends of mine. One's like friend from work, and one's a friend from back in school. So they're not very heavily involved in the hobby, but I know that they're still aware, and they actually are also aware that I stream. Actually, they both recently hit me up, and they're like, "Hey, dude, just realized that you like stream keyboards like these days." I was like, oh yeah. Like, because they're like, I recognize your username from Reddit, and then I saw that you post these photos and whatever, and you apparently stream keyboards. It's like, that's so funny because you're the guy who was not that interested, and then you kind of went all
Into it,
360.
yeah. Just like Taco just said, how the turns have tabled. But also, dude, honestly, some people were making a good point. Relic of the past meetings. Relic of a time once not in lockdown.
That's true. I think my favorite part of the community aspect of keyboards is attending meetups. Like I've traveled across the country
Yeah.
to attend meetups
Yeah.
a few times. I've gone to like Seattle, I've gone to NorCal, I've gone to SoCal, and all over the East Coast too. And I
Yeah.
really miss that. Like I would schedule myself 2 or 3 trips every year just to go to keyboard related events. Yeah.
How many people in chat have actually been to a meetup? Like, I don't know if a lot. That's actually a good question. How many people got into keyboards because of COVID? And how many people, I guess, have maybe attended anything prior to it?
I mean, I still haven't been to a meetup. I mean, let's see. I would have started getting into things about August of
Turn up,
2019.
He's turned up all the way.
Am I quiet?
No, Lightning needs to be turned up a
Oh.
little bit. Digo needs to
I'll
be
just speak closer to the mic.
There you
I'll
go.
just speak closer to the mic. Yeah.
turned up. Got in during
was-
quarantine? Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people did, and it's weird to kind of hear. I doubt there's very many people in the scene that, at this point, like I bet there's a large majority of the scene that hasn't even been to an event at all.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go to, I see a few people say they haven't, and then some people say they have. So I got into it well before COVID, but I got to go to one meetup. Mainly because there's not a lot of meetups in Canada. But I got to go to one, and it was really fun. It's when I think I'd gotten my first custom at the time. Well, other than my tofus, I got something a little bit more, I guess, extravagant. And I went to my first one, and that was a lot of fun. But then literally a month later, COVID hit, and they said nope. We're going to have our second meetup here in Mexico, but COVID, yeah.
Oh.
That sucks. That's honestly... I haven't been to meetups, but I got into the lobby, or the hobby, sorry, because I built my first PC around December last year. Was looking for a nice keyboard to match, saw how deep the rabbit hole goes beyond typical gaming keyboards, and got sucked right in. That's another thing, too. I wonder how many people kind of got into it because they were looking just for a fancy desk accessory, and they're like, keyboards.
I mean,
Or like setting up their home offices, I guess, for
That
those
too,
who
yeah,
work
that
at home,
too.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people like upgraded their PCs and would be like, oh, now I want something nice for my keyboard, and they start looking into options, and then they realize that maybe the custom option is actually just about as pricey as a new mechanical keyboard, let's say straight from from an OEM,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, we're getting to that point, too, where we're getting all these like really fun entry-level options.
Oh yeah.
So what have you kind of taken a look at so far, personally, from the entry-level stuff so far? I know you...
Myself?
Yeah, I know you built the Kara.
Yeah. I built a Kara. I've seen. I mean, of course, I have an NK65 here. I actually got the Milkshake Edition one just in.
Yeah.
So I've gone to check that out. What else is out there, really? I mean, of course, I've seen like pretty much every KVD fans board out there. Like KVD 67, like KVD 75, 8X, the D65. I've seen that too. Like of course, like every variation of the tofu. I've seen all of those. And then I've seen also like a few like pre-built stuff. I also have done like pre-built modification stuff for people like Leopolds or like Vermillos that they want like their switches desoldered or like their LEDs changed or whatever, things like that. So that's like still at the entry level, I think. But other than that, I think like for example, like things I haven't seen is like I haven't seen the Portico.
Yeah.
I haven't seen like the Icky 68 that's currently on Group Buy. Yeah. And there's like probably a few others that I haven't mentioned.
I think the big ones right now are like the NK65, which actually I have not tried yet. NK65, I'm hearing a lot about that, and I know people in chat were really telling me about this too. Was the one from KBD fans? Which one's that one they're called again?
Well, there's the KBD fans or the KBD 67 Lite.
I think so.
Yeah. So that one is like hot swap and also like pretty much easy to use, programmable, all that stuff.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on like the NK65?
I love the NK65. I think it's such a good deal for the money. Okay, like this kit
The
right
milkshake
here.
one's nice. Yeah.
The milkshake, this was $190, right? And it came with a carrying case, right? A nice carrying case with a zipper, this like sweet pink coil cable, like kind of
I
like a
didn't know it
telephone
came with
cable,
that.
really nice.
Yeah.
USB-C and all that. It has this nice card that basically tells you like, oh, it's like VIA compatible, and you should be careful about your hot swap sockets and your pins, right? But then this comes with caps and silk switches, right? And it's such a good deal. Like it, honestly, like the switches are pretty. I mean, they're so darn smooth stock, and like if you want to modify them, you can always take them off,
Yeah,
right? And like the fact that
easily.
it's hot swap
Yeah.
is just like so easy.
Yeah.
Same with like lubing the stabs, you just have to take off one switch and then the stab, which is because it's plate mount, right? So like I know that a lot of people say like, oh, it's a shame that the NK65 still uses plate mount stabs, but I personally think that for the entry level person, this is perfectly appropriate because
It makes sense.
it
yeah.
means that you just need to take out 4 or 5 switches just to lube the stabs, and that's all you have to do if you don't want to touch the switches at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy. It's just like the same modification people would do when they have co-star stabilizers on their pre-builds, and all they need to do is put some dielectric grease on the wire, and it's just about the same amount of complexity in my opinion. So I think this is like such a good deal for the money. It's really hard to think of any other board that kind of like offers as much, but I know that the competition's slowly growing in that in that arena. And I'm very excited to see it just because it's making the hobby so much more accessible to people who are reluctant to, let's say, in my case, I was already interested in the tinkering side or the electronic side of things. I actually, when I first went to that meetup, I actually thought maybe I'll meet like an engineer and maybe I'll do a PCB. Like that's what
true,
my initial thought was. Because I come from an electronics background, so I was like, I'm probably I might make a PCB or something, but that didn't end up happening at all. I got into the more like hands-on, like building and stuff. And yeah,
which is interesting too, because like one of the things we keep discussing too, and I know there was a large discussion, I'd say even about a year ago, where I feel like a lot of people were kind of hesitant for more entry-level stuff, thinking that what would that do to the hobby. But I think it's great that more, like, think about it like this too, where it's the more people get into this hobby, the more people buy, for example, NK65s or Ickeys or the Ramakaras. That opens up more possibility for people to want to tinker, just like you said too. And if people tinker, that means they could potentially, well, first of all, probably buy more switches because they're going to see what suits their personal preferences and tastes. But I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it's a great thing to see more entry-level things and more people being able to dabble in a hobby that they never maybe could have dabbled in before. Also, I want to read off some comments. Rent says, this is a little while ago, your K build with the Telios and GMK Shoko is the reason I now have a K.
Oh, thank you.
cool.
Thank you so much, Rent Snake. I really like seeing those kinds of comments because it kind of, at least it makes me feel like people are actually seeing what I put out there. And sometimes I just post things and I'm just like, well, it's out there. Like, if people see it, great. If people don't, that's cool. Like, I don't mind. I just do it because I love the sharing aspect, like just posting a photo or posting a build, putting the build stream like VOD up and that kind of stuff.
10P just says next NZ meetup in May. You guys are already having a meetup in May?
Oh, they're doing fine.
They're doing great.
Yeah, they're doing fantastic. They can go to the movies. They can eat out. They can,
Meanwhile,
New Zealand's
in North
free.
America.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest parts about knowing how many people in Texas are into like the mechanical keyboard scene right now. Like I know so many people in Texas right now, and I know for a fact that Reagan would be hosting meetups if he could right now. Like Reagan would be using his warehouse space as like a meetup space for like Texas meetups, and man, that'd be so much fun.
Yeah,
but we will wait.
Yeah,
hopefully vaccines can change that stuff or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Apparently, it's supposed to be a bit faster here in Canada, but we'll see. Bought a terrible full-size membrane Corsair board and needed more space, and that's how I learned about the different options. Creaturely, that's awesome, dude. Honestly, it's cool to see people kind of picking up even Corsair boards and kind of leaning into the like seeing like, oh, I need more or I need something different. That's really cool.
I think that's what got a lot of people into more keyboard stuff too, realizing that like 60% keyboards existed, for instance. Like, I think that's a lot of people's first step into like, oh, I can do other things other than just buy Corsair or Logitech or Razer keyboards. Like, I think that, I mean, we've talked about this plenty, like the Ducky 1-2 Mini being like a stepping stone for a lot of people
I think so, yeah.
to get out of
Yeah.
that, I guess, normal consumer keyboard space, I guess.
Yeah. Or like the And Pro, that
The
kind of
And
stuff.
Pro.
Yes.
What was the other one
Yeah.
too? The Poker? That was a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vortex Poker.
Poker 2 and
yeah.
Poker 3 were revolutionary, first of all, because I mean they were the first keyboards to introduce 60% tray mount.
Yeah.
And then the first custom case that came out, I mean a little bit of history. The first custom case that came out for the Poker was the Duck Poker, called the Duck Mini. And like Duck, you know, the Korean
Yep.
keyboard maker, Duck, like he was one of the first people to make a custom aluminum tray for the Poker. And then that was obviously not popular at all because it was extremely niche. But then obviously like China caught up with it, so like you start seeing things like on AliExpress or like, you know, on websites where like people always like browse just to like browse different parts, right? Like, you know, third-party enclosures, that kind of stuff. And like eventually like you had like Philco cases, right? And like Phantom, like the Phantom PCB and all that stuff. And so basically like modding pre-builds was the beginning of the hobby, right? And so I still think that it's great that we're going back to this idea of having a good entry-level item that's essentially like a pre-build, that's off the shelf, right? Where these like our keyboard community vendors are selling like off the shelf, and basically now these vendors are becoming the OEMs of this community, and it's great. It's great to see that them being like the center point for new enthusiasts to join in and then start seeing like what else is out there. I mean, in the end, that was the same story for me, right? Like if Topre had not been readily available for me to buy, like a Leopold or like Nova Touch at the time was still in stock, or like the HKB, right? Then I'm sure that I would have had a little bit of a harder time going into the custom side. Like I would have to ask my friend about it and then learn more about it. But it was much easier for me to purchase something first, get it, try it out, and then know what kind of reference I would need to get afterwards for me to like move on to the next step in my progression in the hobby. Yeah.
Is Topro still something that you go back to often?
I tell people, Topre is there's no end game, right? Like that word is like a mythical thing, right? But Topre is the friend you always rely on. It's like the shoulder that you're always looking for when you have bad moments, right? You always go back to Topre because it's comfortable. It's not because it's mind-blowing or because it's the best. It's just comfortable. And so a lot of people will purchase HHKBs and eventually sell them. But then a year later they're like, I need one again. And they buy it again.
That reminds me
and
of
that's
that
what
clip
happens.
from Tim the Tat Man. I don't know if you guys watched that clip about Tim talking about how he's on the bottom of the scoreboard. Totally different, obviously Topper is like something that you secretly love, but Tim was talking about how he was on the bottom of the scoreboard, and he was telling everyone that everyone has that one group, one friend in their group that's the anchor that's always on the bottom.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a little bit. What's everyone's comfort switch? Ooh. Yeah, comfort switch. I think for Diego it's probably what? Topper then. That's your comfort.
Yeah. For me, my HHKB 45 gram. Like the stock 45 gram switch for me. Loop that up. Sometimes I put silencing rings on a lot of my Topper. It's very easy. But just looped HHKB 45 gram is perfect with OEM caps. I don't need to get custom caps.
There you go.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah, I need to lube mine still. I have a Topper that I need to lube. But my comfort switches, honestly, I like clacky stuff. So I like Durox stuff. And I know some people really hate clacky, but I love clacky. I like a good sharp sound. What about you, Chase? What about you guys in chat? What's your comfort? What's your go-to switch? Your comfort switch that always makes you happy?
I'd say right now, it's definitely alpacas. I can't think of anything that just feels and sounds as comforting, if that's really how you want to say it, as alpacas do right now for me.
MX Black's long stems to the solid clack. Yeah, Tempest, you were saying that. Milky yellows are my comfort switch. Nothing better than Otemu Blues, Holy Pandas, Banana Splits, Comfort, Inks, or Model F. I have a question for you, Lightning. This is super important.
Mm-hmm.
This might be
Go ahead.
clipped and sent to Apiary later. What would you, if you were to get a Gateron ink switch, and it happened to be the black Gateron ink, how do I word this without spoiling what I would try to say? How would you go and tell your friends like what color Gateron ink that you got?
I say I got a Gat ink. I say I got a Gat ink black switch.
See, we all think Gateron black ink sounds better.
I mean, I personally don't think it matters so much. I'm a very carefree kind of guy. Okay, I like it's like when people kind of get into the whole like is it vintage MX black because it's pre 1994 or not? But the years keep counting. So does that mean that it's gonna be vintage after 95? I mean, before 95 and 96? But no, right? Like people say, like, oh, but the molds, but the molds, man, but the molds. And I understand the distinction from like on this production standpoint, but let's be honest. You get a vintage MX black just because it's smooth. You don't care about anything else. It's an MX black. You wouldn't even call it vintage. Like you could just call it MX black. I actually do that on purpose. When I put like a description of a keyboard that has vintage MX blacks, I just put cherry MX black. Why? Because it doesn't matter. It just happens to be an MX black switch that is old and smooth. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, it's just a rose by any other name.
Naming thing too. Yeah. It's like Gat Black Ink or Gat Ink Black or Gat Ink the black variant
or just
like,
black ink.
Well, Apiary was asking the other day on her chat. She's like, who started calling it Gat Black Inks? And I was like, don't I call it Gat Black Inks? Like, is that not what they're called?
Black ink. Because I think when you say inks, people know that they are I just say black inks. I don't even throw Gateron or Gat at the front of it.
I mean, that's true too. I think a lot of people just like if it's inks, like they know the brand that's selling them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when someone just says inks, I think of that one first, and then when people clarify saying, "Oh, they're the red inks or the ink red ones," then I'm like, okay, they're the other ones or the yellow ones or whatever, right?
Are there any other inks? I mean, there's other ink colors like yellow, red, and blue. I think
blue, and there's also the 8008 now.
That's
right?
true. That is true.
The new ones.
Is that
and there's probably gonna be more.
Is that spring weight on the 8008 the same as any of the other line? I don't remember.
I actually forget. Yeah, I didn't buy any, so.
Jax, do you not like the yellow inks? I actually don't mind the yellow inks. I think they're the only ones that have a shorter travel distance, right?
So, yeah. So the yellow inks are the ones that have like a box kind of style of like a stem, and they have they're like speed switches, so they have a shorter travel.
I actually don't mind them. But I have them in a few boards.
Yeah, the 8008 ink uses Gat yellow springs, the regular Gat yellow. So that's the 60 to 65 gram spring, right? But it's just an opaque ink switch.
Okay. Also, I see a lot of you guys talking prior to this. We started talking about switches. A lot of people guys were saying about a few of you guys won the Iron 165 in chat today. So who entered for that? Who entered and who got their W's today? The 8008 inks are pretty nice. I'm typing on them right now, but I replaced the springs. Ooh, what did you replace them to? Overslept?
Me too.
I
woke up at 2:30 p.m.
I woke up and I just didn't enter. I don't think I need one in my collection, so I'm not gonna hoard keyboards for no reason. I got through the queue.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Sybase, on getting one.
Got my sights in the Thermal Plus. What do you think of the Thermal Plus, Lightning?
Oh, okay. So the regular Thermal, honestly, I really liked it already when like Nathan Teja like had his first stream of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really wanted. Actually, I should mention this because at the time when the group buy ran, like it was like a month or longer, right, for the group buy period. I was in a pinch. You know, I just didn't have the money to buy the Thermal.
Yeah.
And Will at the time actually offered. He was like, "Hey man, like if you really want it, like we can like reserve a unit or whatever, right? And I was like, oh, it's all good. Like, I don't take favors from friends about, I don't like to mix in money into the equation when it comes to like friends and whatever, right? And so I was like, no, I'm good. And so I passed on it, and then just recently I got to build for a client. It blew my mind. I was like, wow, it's very unique. It's bouncy like a trampoline, right? So the Thermal Plus, which comes with the grill at the top, for me, it doesn't evoke the same feeling that the Thermal
That's
does.
fair. Yeah.
Because of the way that the heatsink look goes, right? It kind of the regular Thermal, like, it's symmetrical, like has it on both sides. I think that look is what for me it's like, oh, it reminds me of a heatsink right there. And also it's like this long piece, so it's like the whole like brutalist aspect to it, right? The Thermal 65, the Thermal Plus, it's just definitely like a bit of a branch off from that. So for me, it doesn't have the same appeal as the regular Thermal.
Yeah.
I'm not a 65% kind of guy. Actually, I actually prefer 60% over 65. And so in my case, I wouldn't purchase it, and I most definitely won't. But I think that for anybody looking for a 65% keyboard right now in the custom keyboard market, the Thermal Plus is a great option because the Thermal typing experience
it's
is
great.
very unique.
It's You know what was funny too is when I got the Thermal came out about when I got into the hobby, like really into the hobby, and I was talking to Mr. Keebs at the time, and again I didn't really understand much about keyboards, and he's like, I remember him exactly saying, I showed him the Thermal, I'm like, this looks cool. And he's like, yeah, this is one of those boards you're going to want to pick up because it's going to have a very different typing experience from everything else on the market. And I was thinking to myself, because I don't know what that means. And now I understand, what a typing experience is. Yeah. Now I thought to myself, oh, well, okay, I don't really understand that, so maybe I'm just going to pass on it. But now that I've tried something like the Thermal, I've tried, like even plateless, I've tried, gasket isolated, something like a sandwich, top, integrated. There's so many different typing experiences, and I will say, like,
oh, thank you.
That type of typing experience is very different. Space Cables, thank you so much for the tier 3 sub. I appreciate that, man. Wow.
Hello,
Mr. Space Cables.
Where are you? Why are you not here?
Good point. We haven't pointed out the fact that there's no Reagan with us tonight.
No, he's, as you can see, this way. He's not in the middle. Well, actually, usually I'm in the middle here, but Reagan's not here, so it's just the three of us today. Cableman is here.
Okay.
Pog. It's okay. One big
I'll
happy.
take the middle.
Wait, this way. One big happy family. Hotel lady is cleaning the room. Yeah, the hotel lady kicked them out. Said we got to clean right now.
Got kicked out of his hotel room.
The maid's cleaning the hotel room. Reagan's like, oh shit, why'd I come here to get roasted?
I don't know if you know this, Lightning, but Reagan's bedroom always looks so clean and there's nothing on the walls, and so everyone says it looks like he's in a hotel room. And
it's impossible to keep it that clean.
There's a running joke that Reagan streams from a hotel room every single week.
It's not a joke when it's the truth. It's not a joke when it's the truth. Andy, thank you so much for your prime.
Never know.
Still waiting for the Alex body pillow. Oh god.
Oh god. Anyway, oh god, where were we? You were talking to me. You were talking to us about Mr. Keebs.
Yeah, the Thermal, man. Like the typing experiences are so different, and that's why, like, obviously, the one thing that I'll keep on telling everyone here is, if you don't have the money for something, don't buy it. But if you guys do want to get deeper in the hobby, I think it's super valuable to try out a whole bunch of different of these things, because you have an appreciation for what kind of goes in to making a keyboard, and even just the different typing experiences, like trying them all is just so much fun. And that's why, honestly, like, I can't wait for meetups again. That way, you obviously don't have to spend money on your own. You can just try someone else's.
Yeah,
but that's gonna be so much.
You can ask a friend, hey,
yeah,
bring this out.
Yeah, please bring this to me. Clever says, here's a good question. What's the craziest design keyboard you've ever seen in the hobby? This would actually be a good question for Lightning.
Craziest designed keyboard. One keyboard design that I really want seen made is the Parallax by AAO3 and Poner. And Ion Keyboards is basically a battle, like a vintage, like, the model M122 or F122. It's like the big two floor battleship style,
oh god,
vintage style keyboard, but I want that made in full, aluminum, good old like a custom keyboard should be. I would be very excited about that. I think that's very cool. Obviously, like the Space Cadet keyboard is like is iconic, and it's very crazy for sure. Definitely, I think on the vintage side, some of the crazier designs are out there. But as far as the custom mechanical keyboard scene, let me think. Really crazy.
I saw one recently that was crazy. That Axe
That's been made. Oh, no. What was that called? Was it the Fat Boy or something? No.
Which one?
It was by. You guys know Pro Boy? He's he's actually a very large collector in Thailand.
Okay.
He posts like gorgeous pictures too. He owns like hundreds of keyboards. Any keyboard that you might want to like name, like want to name an OTD, he probably has it. Okay, he like owns a ton of keyboards, and one of the keyboards that he recently, I'm not sure if it was commissioned by him or if it was like by a friend of his. It was very complex, but it looked very cool. I think it was like let me look it up.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's on my.
We'll read some stuff out here while you look at the wrist breaker. Oh, sure, go ahead.
The wrist breaker is pretty crazy, but I saw
so
that
high.
Lightning, you built was it the S7 Elephant a few months ago or something?
Oh yeah, that
one of the
keyboard's very cool too.
This is a crazy keyboard.
The elephant, yeah, elephant's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
I
Cries
think
in
it's really
plastic.
Well,
The
plastic-
MC76K Fat Boy. This is one drunk man.
Yeah. I think that's correct.
Look this up.
Yeah.
Soon, Hooligan, whenever we design it. Alex Cool, switch in the background. Thank you so much. Speaking of thermal, what colors would Keebcast go for? If I had the choice now, looking at the new colors, rose gold, easy. Can't pass up on a nice rose gold keyboard.
I'm sad they don't have the option for that red, the
red again?
PCB.
Yeah,
The black
it
and
was
red
a
looks so
one
good.
time.
Yeah,
It looks so good though.
the red was nice.
Yeah.
Did you end up finding the board?
Yeah, so that MC 76K Fat Boy, you should here's I posted the group buy page.
Take a look. At
It
this.
looks pretty it just looks like a chunky forehead
Oh,
or
God,
whatever
this looks heavy.
on the outside, but wait until you look at the internal part.
Whoa,
It's really weird.
that is interesting.
They don't show the actual inner side, but it's like there's this weird thing going on with the way it's mounted. It has this like breakout board. It looks like
Oh, yeah, they have a
Interesting.
video.
that work. But like it pretty much like went under the radar. And I've only noticed like a few people who built it, like pretty much the people who were directly involved in the interest check. But it's pretty wild. Like I kind of just want to see this in person to figure it out and to like assemble it
Whoa.
and see what it's like.
Different ways to
but this one
cushion
has-
too, like very interesting
Yeah.
internals.
And it has this like knob on the back, and like you can put it in the front, or like you could put it at the side. Or it's like this modular sort of system going
Yeah.
on here. But yeah, I think it's never gonna happen again probably. But maybe if you ask nicely, they'll have like a unit to share and to check out. But maybe if you visit Thailand, you could always ask. What's his name? ProBoy84. He's on YouTube.
You know, I would
or
love,
Proji Keep Look.
I would love to take a look at some very unique stuff. That's why I want meetups again so bad. Ori asks, what plate material would you choose if to use for the rest of your life? Ooh,
Aluminum.
you would go with
Easy.
aluminum, yeah?
Yeah.
I'd
yeah,
probably do the
aluminum.
same thing.
No doubt.
Aluminum's like, I don't get me wrong, I like FR4, but I feel like aluminum works good for just about everything.
Yeah.
Because
It's
there's
the
been some
perfect middle
boards,
ground.
yeah, there's been some boards with FR4 I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
Geist machine.
Same with polycarb.
Oh yeah, if I
the
can,
guys.
honestly, yeah. If I can go with anything for plate, for a keyboard case, I like polycarb. I like the sound polycarb makes.
Mm.
The Geist is interesting too. The Geist is definitely an interesting keyboard.
Has that big wheel looking thing in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
to think
personally
about
am
that.
not huge. Yeah, I'm not huge in that just because it just looks like it's gonna get in my way of using the board. Like it's just like, what do I do with it?
It'd be
I'd
cool
like
if it
to
was
see
functional.
somebody.
It's a
I'd like to
statement piece
see-
though.
I'd like to see what somebody does with one first before. I'd like to see it in front of somebody, and
It-
I don't know.
It looks like we're gonna grind coffee beans in that thing.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine combining both? Because I feel like that's a very like loved thing in this hobby as well as coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
Can someone do that? Can someone design a coffee bean grinder that modularly slots into a keyboard?
Good old burrs.
I would pick the plate
like
that sounds...
grinded coffee.
Oh, I know.
In your keys.
As you type it grinds.
Oh, God.
That would be great, dude. That would be great.
Oh, man.
Is he Keeblook on YouTube?
Proji Keep. Look, he's the collector and keyboard enthusiast. He's very, very big. I mean, he has a bigger presence on YouTube, I guess, because he posts a lot of typing tests and whatnot. But he has such a wide variety of keyboards. He also has this beautiful hack job of an AEK, the Apple Extended Keyboard.
Oh, cool.
A beautiful hack job done into, I think it was a TKL. But like it looks absolutely gorgeous. Let me see if I can find a link for people to check out. So I had it right here. So I have his YouTube channel.
I'm gonna take a look at that too.
I'll post it.
I like looking at other people's stuff.
I'll
I
post
think
it right here.
I think one of the more interesting parts about keyboards too is just the variety and like how I love looking at how people customize what they get. I think to me, other than hanging out with people and meeting new friends, like that has to be one of my favorite things. Like seeing how different two of the same keyboards can be entirely. You know? Oh, I've seen that AEK hacked into a TKL. Dude is crazy good job on that. Okay, I need to take a look.
He actually commissioned someone, and it took them like 6 months to do it properly, because they had to like sand it down, like they had to like chop it, sand it down, and basically like they actually made it so that it's not just like you paste like a wall so that you close the part that you chop. He actually like molded that side so it was perfectly symmetrical to the other side. So like if it has like little grills, it will have all the grills and so and then you have to like sand that down and perfectly file it and all that so it looks just the same on the other side. So apparently it just took a long time. And obviously, because this was like labor in Thailand, it was like much cheaper to do so. Like if you ask someone in the US to do something like that, or like in any like you know, like in North America in general, it would cost you a fortune because it's so much manual labor.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. That's the big thing too. Is just like sometimes local is very expensive. Honestly, I think we need more ortho-linear keyboards, says Ori. I can't type on ortho, man. Like, I'll be honest. I've tried because I have one.
Me too.
Mistype, and I tried for a solid week, and I still mistyped after a week. And I could not do it.
I did my big dive into odd layouts my first year in actually for 2 years in keyboards. I had a Planck, I had a Prionic, I had an Ergo split, like the 40% split version of it. That's an ergonomic too. I mean, that's like ergonomic and ortholinear, so it's like ortho ergo. I've tried like a variety. I've tried like Dactyl, Maniform, that kind of stuff, ergo dogs, and like I just eventually couldn't get used to them. And I tried the minivan too, like like good old standard 40%, and I just couldn't get used to the usage of the function layers. Like I could use like a Timo 50 actually. The Timo 50 is very similar to a 60% typing, and then you can access your function keys and your number row keys through like the spacebar, the function keys that are like mapped on them by like the tap dance feature on QMK. But yeah, I think any smaller than that, it's just too difficult for me to type efficiently. So I eventually stopped trying those out. Yeah.
Well, I have a follow-up question regarding that, but first I want to answer Ren's question here. Actually, I want to read Taco's. What I like about the hobby is you never truly find something that is the same as the other person. Sure, there might be a lot of tofus, but you hardly ever find the exact same thing. I agree, because even like the way we lube our switches is completely different from person to person. So I definitely agree with that. Renton says, what is Keebcast's favorite color scheme on a keyboard? Ooh, very interesting question. Chase, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I have for a while been trying to figure out what exactly my favorite color scheme is, and I've been looking for... So I am not a big fan of the color green, but for whatever reason, like lime green, like really bright green, like I'm into on like grays and stuff, and Super User caught my attention.
Cam Super User.
Cam Super User caught my attention, and I think gray and green because I have a Moon U80 coming in, and
that can look pretty good.
I'm really looking forward to that color combination.
Mechatron's asking, what about botanical though, Chase?
That's not my. It's
not your cup of tea for green.
No, it is a pretty set, but it's not for me.
Green's not. I find green is probably like everyone's. Well, not everyone's, but a good chunk of people don't seem to like green, which is understandable.
I think it's very niche.
Sets.
Yeah.
What about you, Diego?
It's more niche than blue or purple and that like monochrome stuff, I think. My favorite color scheme. I mean, I'm a big fan of all the classics. Wob, Dolce, beige, at the top, anytime. But I think some of my few favorite sets, like amongst like GMK or whatever. I really like Violet on Cream. I really like Honeywell. I really like let's see. I really like Carbon. I have a very
Carbon's nice.
I have some fondness for Carbon, like just good old Carbon. Let's see. I really like Miami Nights or something that has a bit of pop. I like the round 2 of Hyperfuse, which is the one that has like wider, creamier alphas.
Yeah.
And like the darker purple. That one for a while that was like my favorite set. Like the first year and a half of the hobby, I think that was like something I used. My set super shined up. And then later on, I like the Origins version of it, which has a grayer scheme going on for the alphas. Like that was really sweet too. The contrast on that one is so much better. So I really like that. And then Taro, Ace. Such a good set.
Dude, Taro was one of those sets, and I think a lot of people here can either say that they liked it during group buy, or there's a good chunk of people that were like, this color ain't for me. I'm not sure how I feel about it. And then the moment it went on extras, and then they started seeing it on boards, they're like, ooh, that's different. That kind of hits different. I was one of those people in the second group, and then I really wanted Taro.
Yeah. Not going to lie, but P-Wade 3 sets in general, they're sleeper sets. They look like sleeper sets, but they're all bangers. They're all Analog Dreams was great. I think Tai T is gonna come out fantastic too.
And in my mind, I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it because during
me neither.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, but watch it turn out great. There's been a few sets where I'm like, I don't know, but watch this to be something that I like down the road. Firefly was like that for me too. I really liked Firefly afterwards, but I noticed that some of the mods are different on Firefly, and now I can't unsee it. I didn't realize that in the renders.
I only know that because I've known P-Wade for a long time, and I know he really takes his time picking his colors.
Oh, for Tai T and stuff?
For all of them. Like he took, I mean, before the Taro interest check, he was working with people like myself, like I was like a day zero sort of supporter. Like I saw him like when he first picked the hex codes and the Pantones and all that stuff, and then like changed them to RAL and like all that stuff, right? It was like maybe like 6 to 8 months before the interest check thread came up.
Yeah.
So like he took his time figuring things out, and then like the kitting and all that stuff kind of came later. Although that the kitting, I think I don't agree on him with kitting, but I mean no, it's true. Like the round 1 kit was really weird. It was very chonky, had a bunch of 40 support in the base kit and whatnot. But I understood because he was working with a lot of people also in the 40s scene, who really wanted that support in. So I totally understand. There's conflicts of interest there. But as far as the colors go, like he's very thoughtful about that, and he's just a really chilled like enthusiast. You know, like he doesn't really make it seem like he's up here and everyone's here, and he's just like, I just tried different colors and they seem to fit, and so I just went with it.
Which is fun. I think a lot of people here like are agreeing too. 10P just says I joined Tai T. Oh hell yeah! I like the Boba Alphas on Tara, says Mechatron. Tai T looking good too, says Chozo. But I know Chozo loves Taro. Looking at GMK Amethyst. Which one's that again? I'm assuming it's like purple.
You know what set I'm waiting to finally ship out, so I can probably snag up some extras.
Are you gonna say Dracula? Nice.
No, I'm gonna say Future Funk because I think that set is gonna look pretty cool when it's finally here.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I know a lot of people are waiting on Dracula, and I'm still waiting on Future Funk. And I feel like that's
Future Funk.
I think Future Funk has hit its. When did I buy that? When did Future Funk go on sale? I feel like it's been a year now.
February 29th of
February.
2020. Yep, you're 2 days away from
last year.
I see that chat, bro. I want feature phone
It-
too. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Dracula shipping out
see.
to vendors in June, July. Ooh, GMK
Oh, okay.
Sloth. Which one's GMK Sloth again?
Oh yeah, Jim K. Sloth has a like kind of like natural earthy colors.
Okay.
It was by I think it was it Drifting Bunnies? But it's like brown and
So like sloth
a,
colors,
like a beigeish. Yeah, sloth colors really.
like a cartoon sloth.
Kind of comfy colors in my opinion. I liked the way Sloth looked. I actually didn't end up buying it. I was just out of funds. I instead bought GMK Bread sometime after.
I think a lot of people like really like bread too.
I mean, I resonate with it. I'm a big fan of carbs.
I love
I'm a big
carbs as well.
Carb
I'm
boy.
a big carb
I love
guy.
carbs.
Yeah. I do
Bread
like carbs.
is a staple. Can't pass on it. But you know,
Favorite bread?
I just went for that bread. Ooh, sourdough probably.
Ooh.
What's yours,
Okay,
Alex?
okay. Sorry?
What's yours?
I'm one of those guys that kind of just like eats whatever bread's in front of me, but like I like a good ciabatta bun. I think those are really good.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I'm also kind of snobby where it's like if I can get I'd go more, well, obviously not now because of COVID, but like I'd be one of those people to go get bread fresh, more regular, because I like fresh bread like day or two. So I won't, like if I buy a lot of bread and have it sitting, I probably would be upset with myself. But I like,
Oh, me too.
I like bread to be like, dude, and the other big thing, I used to do this a lot as a kid, and I still kind of do this. I'd go and buy like to a bakery just to buy like a piece of bread sometimes, just to have it fresh, like warm.
Put some butter on it.
Yeah, and then I just like I'd buy sometimes the one piece of bread, dude. Just
So
the
good.
one piece of bread.
My
Fresh warm bread with butter. That's
See,
it.
Lightning.
Nothing else.
As of recently, my wife has decided she wants to start making bread, so she actually has sourdough starter going
You
right now
lucky
in
man.
our kitchen.
You lucky man.
When you said sourdough, I was like, oh no, I can.
Scott
I am
Pop
so
says
jealous.
ciabatta bread slaps. GMK Gregory, how do you feel about the more meme sets?
I think some of them have a fun take. I think Gregory was a fun one, to be honest. I think it just like, I think they really executed that like eye and like smile part so well. Like they even did it on like the Alice, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious, and I thought it was so fun. And also just the fact that like yellow and black, they're not very commonly picked colors. That's actually what I really liked about Greg, was that even if like I actually bought the extension kit or whatever for the yellow and black.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I just
Oh,
won't
thank you,
ever
dude.
otherwise have a yellow and black set like this. Ever. And it's stock color, so I have a GMK coloring, so I know exactly what it's gonna look like. So I was like, yeah, I'm in. But Hander by
Oh,
for
did you
example,
buy-
there
did
was
you
the
buy
OG
Greg?
factor.
Did you get Greg?
I did.
Oh, I didn't know you got Greg.
I went all in on
All in.
Greg. I bought
Oh.
every kit. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
first of all, the designer Champ Lemon, he's a friend of mine.
Okay,
I know
okay.
him in person, but I also do like Greg as as an idea, and I think it's gonna look great also without that like meme execution, like with the regular yellow and black theme. It's gonna look great too.
What do you think of all the other sets coming out? Like, I think, dude, everyone was talking about which one was when you guys were talking about the McDonald's one? Was it GMK Cluck?
Something like that, right?
Something like that.
Is that a thing?
GMK panels. I have a better.
Yeah, I'm
question.
not huge.
Go on, sorry.
Sorry. The McDonald's set one, I wish there was more red. There's too much yellow and very little red, so that's not something I like as much. I think it would have been much better if there were a lot more red for the McDonald's look, but I mean, that's just me.
Oh, you're talking about GMK Cluck? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's supposed to be like a chicken from Minecraft.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know
Yeah,
from Minecraft,
yeah.
but is it supposed to be from Minecraft? I'm not too sure.
I mean, like the image that they show kind of makes it look like it's very similar to, but
The rubber
interesting.
chicken and not McDonald's. I don't know, Rolly, to be honest. SAB.
So
Yeah, I mean, like,
SAB so is Bisaromi.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
They're-
modeled after like the villager.
yeah. I don't mind. I think the meme sets personally are very fun. I think it kind of is like a breath of fresh air from like the very serious stuff. But then chat sometimes, not you guys in chat, mean like talking to you guys in chat. Then sometimes people go overboard, like GMK panels. And I was like, I don't get this. Because like I don't get the car.
Oh,
So I don't know. Sometimes wait, okay, go on, Diego.
hold up.
Yeah.
Best meme set that never came to be that I blame the community for. Sorry. Is
Was it Honk?
GMK GB, aka GMK Calcium, aka GMK, like the translucent one. All translucent caps by Taylor SG. He
I remember
basically there was a
this.
bit of a
Yeah.
and there's a bit of a scandal on Mech Market because he allegedly posted information about like the quote, and like people were like in uproar. It's like, oh my god, NDA, all that stuff. But also because he was like memeing around really, and he was like changing the name. He called it like IC, and then like GMK, like GB. And so, but eventually became GMK Calcium, and pretty much failed to hit MOQ. Is what happened. But I think that if that like bit of a PR hadn't gone wrong, it would have probably hit fine. But I personally would love to see a high quality plastic translucent set like that, like with that matte texture that GMK has, but that's translucent. That would be great.
So were they just
Translucent
blanks?
caps be interesting.
So they were just translucent blanks is basically what they all were?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me look at GMK Calcium, formerly GMK IC.
Okay,
And Icy says, Icy Phillips says GMK panels isn't a meme set. But you know what? I totally get that, Icy, totally. But I want to know how many people, like a good chunk of people, do you guys know that car? Like, I didn't know about that car until looking at that set, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like opening it up right now.
GMK Calcium. Let me take a look at this. I do. Phil,
I didn't know
Icy's
about
like,
this.
I did. Yeah, I don't know. It's don't get me wrong. It's a fun approach to a keycap set. Totally respect the person who designed it. Just not for me. Panels, I had no idea. GMK Honk. Yes, I would love Zambu to make GMK Honk real. GMK Honk.
I mean, hey, a lot of jokes became real things. Like GMK Hamon was April Fool's.
wasn't Cool
GMK
Kids?
Dots was basically an April
Yeah.
Fool's. GMK Cool Kids was also, I mean, the EPBT Cool Kids was also like a meme, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, a lot of these things become reality very easily on the internet. I feel because people are like, I'm all in if you make it, and so that's enough, right? All you have to do is hit MOQs.
The only set recently where I'm just kind of like, I don't know if this is for me, was GMK Star, which is based off Patrick Star.
Oh yeah, not for me.
Not for me.
I think the combo is so it just clashes too much. The pink,
But-
the pink and the green just clash too much.
But when you look at it, you do think of Patrick Star. So they've accomplished what they set out to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes, unfortunately, it's like it reminds me of it, and then I'll get out of my head because as a key set, it just looks really ugly.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, they accomplished it, so kudos to them.
Yeah,
Although the Rama keycap is pretty cool, I'll say that.
Yeah, everyone's been really liking that jellyfish Rama
The
keycap.
jellyfish keycap
Yeah.
is pretty cool.
I do admit it looks very pretty. Like, I like it. Jellyfish in general are like really cool animals.
Oh, okay, that one's pretty cool actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a whole bunch of people really like that. So I want to ask you our question that we ask everyone all the time. Chase, do you want to take it away?
Mhm.
Yes, I will. So every time we have somebody on, we ask them to tell us what within the community and within the scene do you feel like is like moving in a good direction or that you're excited about? And then on the opposite side, what is something that kind of scares you or that you're just kind of weary about what's happening? Like just what's good and what's bad within the scene right now, in your opinion?
I try to not get too personally involved in a lot of these things, a lot of these thoughts, because they provoke a lot of positive and negative reactions from me, and I just don't like the feeling of going up and down like that.
Totally.
But like becoming too emotionally invested. But I think for the positive part is just I think slowly I'm starting to see people change their mentality about purchasing keyboards because it's hyped up, or just because it's like a spirit of the moment kind of thing. Because people are starting to slowly recognize that we have such a large community, and that the rate of these like
Yeah.
new group buys and new
That's a good
keyboards is also growing just as quickly.
Yeah.
And so that means that if you wait a couple weeks, you'll see another group buy that you might like. And in some cases, some of these group buys, like the thermal, for example, they're open until like what, April, right? Long period of time, right? So like there's always the option to get something else. And I'm starting to see a bit of a paradigm shift where people, even newcomers, are realizing that even though it takes a long time, there are options available. There's some in stock, there's some group buys that are coming up, and there's some limited things like first come first serve by a designer that is very popular.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm seeing that. I think it's a very positive direction. I think a lot of content creators are also like fostering a little bit of that like kind of mentality too, and just like people in general trying to like educate others a bit more, I think. Even though relatively they're like young in the community, and but people like learn pretty quickly, and I think
Yeah.
there's so many resources now to learn, to like read and learn. I still do always think that people always also don't Google enough, for example, which is something that I kind of try to encourage people. It's like that you can look up things on your own, but I understand when people approach, for example, like us, right? Like
Yeah.
like yourself too, like Alex, like when people come to us and say like, what is the best X, what is the best Y, or I saw this, would you recommend it? And the answer they're seeking is like validation. It's like they seek self-validation. It's like,
Yeah.
I made this choice, but I want you to validate me.
Well, do you ever do that
Which-
thing where you buy, and I think I've said this a few times, and I want to know from you guys in chat as well. Have you ever bought something and then maybe even an hour later, or sometimes immediately, or sometimes a day later, you go to YouTube and you Google a review of this thing you've already purchased, but now
Yeah.
you try to validate what you've purchased in your mind yet again?
Yeah. I've done that. Yeah. I almost always look up things beforehand, but even after the fact, I'm always like, well, should I have bought the alternative one instead? Like in this case, like, for example, like this mic, like, there's an SM57, tried and true, like mic, age-old mic. But I was like, there's other options that are just as, like, even cheaper and probably just as good. Should I have bought that? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? It works the same.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to adhere to if I made a choice, stick with it. You'll live with the consequences. It's gonna be okay. Kind of mentality. I just kind of I'm like done with the whole like, I'm fickle. I'm not sure. I'm gonna regret it. But my money.
Yeah.
But what if people think that? And I don't care anymore. Like,
Yeah, that's a good mindset to have.
Abandon that now.
Because Creaturely even brings up a good point. Like, I do kind of, like, in my mind, it's like, yeah, part of the excitement is I watch these reviews, or, like, go ask a streamer. But I also think that, here's the thing, too, though, Creaturely. The moment I see someone's like, oh, this isn't exactly what I thought it would be, and I've already purchased it, I start to go with, like, Monkus, dude. And I get the sweats.
Monkers.
And then I get the sweats, dude. I'm like, did I just waste my money? I'll get the sweats, dude, like easy. But I'm like that though. I'm very fickle with purchases. But I do, like you even said too, like, and I know a lot of us preach this and not just preach it, but kind of live by this rule where it's just like, if you don't need it, don't buy it. Like if it's more of like a want and it's not something you need right now, or something maybe you can't afford right now, I think it's better left unpurchased. And that includes keyboards.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially keyboards.
So I've learned that over the years too. I got in so deeply into keyboards over the 4 years I've been in it. Like I actually so I tell people that I track my expenses very carefully. I actually have every single transaction that I've done in this hobby. I have it recorded. Trades.
That's a good thing.
As well. Everything. I have everything recorded to the penny. I have categorized it too. Like I know exactly how much I've spent on this, like Cherry, SA, DSA, XDA, whatever. I know all that. But for me, it's actually not to scare me or to or like just to like keep me on track. It's also just for bookkeeping purposes because it puts things into perspective as to how my purchases are evolving over time. And I'm just realizing now, it's like my purchases now are very pragmatic now. But before it was like I'm gonna try it out, and then I can sell it if I don't like it, that kind of stuff. Now it's just like I know I'm gonna keep it, so I buy it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I pretty much just pass on it, and I've been trying to stick to that a lot more lately. And so, like for example, like this past year, like the rate of purchases for me has gone down dramatically, because I'm trying to adhere to that philosophy of like, am I gonna use it? Yes. And like, how much like am I gonna use it? And if it's like something that I can validate because it's unique, then I'll buy it.
That was me with artisans as well, because I feel like with artisans, I filled up a tray pretty quickly, and then I was still purchasing at the same rate, and I was like, dude, I don't think I need more than this tray of artisan keycaps. And then I really slowed down with artisans.
I remember when you were getting like a few artisans a day.
Yeah, I was going hard on, and then I was like, I don't think I need all these artists. And then I completely, now I get like one every 2 months, one a month.
And then there was like a point where you were like making like TikTok content with artisans.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Like there was like joy to be had in getting something new. But I think a lot of it. I stopped
purchasing them, and I'm gonna run out of content of artisans soon.
the thrill of mail day is such a real thing. The chase of mail day, the opening the box and seeing it there. Oh yeah, I know because I still collect artisans. Yeah, I don't need to disclose how much I have spent on artisans. Artisans for me, I treat them as art. So for me, it is by default an irrational purchase to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know I do it because it's irrational, because I love how they look. I admire them closely. I do all that stuff. I like will mount them and then take them off, and then take a macro pic of them, and then like put it on like random props and take a picture of that, and all that stuff. And every keycap that I have ever had, like as far as artisans go, I have mounted at least once. Like I put it on a keyboard, or I have an idea of where I want it to go.
Yeah.
Like I always purchase thinking, oh, that one might look good with this key set, so I'm gonna get that. Or that one looks good with the other keycaps I already have, so I'm gonna get that. But for example, if I say like, oh, I already have 3 of these colors, like let's say pink, right? I already have 3 pink keycaps like this. I should probably pass on this because it's just too many.
Keycap. And I think honestly, like, don't get me wrong, guys, I love getting a keyboard in the mail, but there's something different about getting an artisan in the mail.
Yeah.
I don't know why. There's just something
different.
Yeah.
It's because there is this like someone sculpted it and someone made it by hand.
Yeah.
And it's like a gift to you, whereas a keyboard just feels like a retail purchase.
Yeah,
it's
does.
Just like, I went on like a store and click, buy, ships.
Yeah.
You got it. Cool.
Yeah, there's something.
Yeah.
There's
not
something,
for artisans.
And you know what too? Like it's a very interesting point of conversation too, because like that like mail day, like whole thrill of opening the mail, the thrill of putting it on the board for the first time, taking a photo of it.
Yeah.
Even sometimes, like, guys, I have photos that I posted on like a personal Flickr account that's not public, just because like I like taking photos of artisans.
Yeah.
There's just so much like thrill that comes in with these little things. Like right now, even I don't know if you guys can kind of see. I have that Salvin copper, and I just like love
that one's
this
so
thing.
good.
Yeah, it's so nice, and like it goes with the like I don't know. It's just something extra to go with the board, I don't know.
That's why I have a thing with macro pads too, because artisan can go on there. You're just like look at it, and you're like,
macro pads have been like. There's been so many cool macro pads have been popping up too, and I've just been collecting them. Like I'll see a macro pad, I'm like, ooh, gotta get that.
This little macro
right now,
pad?
The one I'm eyeing is the Dandy.
Oh yeah, that one there's nice too. Yeah. Which one's
this one?
The Dandy M6C.
Oh yes. And sorry, which one's that, Chase?
This is the bind pad, and these things were sold in stock for $50. It's CNC'd aluminum, the whole thing.
Oh, cool.
Oh, it's aluminum. I actually didn't realize it was aluminum.
This thing is
I thought it was plastic.
Yeah, and these things were sold in stock with hot swap, like three key hot swap PCB. They're really cool.
It kind of looks like a knife handle because of the.
Yes.
Yeah, and those reminds me of those. What are those things that you like press to like train your fingers or whatever?
Yeah, it's just like they're steel grips. They're just
the grips. Yeah, like those. It reminds me of those a lot.
Did you
I
get
was
the? So Icy says, did you get the MacroPad numpad with the rotary encoder from Keyspresso? No, I didn't even know they had one up for sale. I'm gonna go take a look.
Is that new?
I guess I got the Salver copper patina cap gifted to me by the man himself. Whew.
Ooh.
Oof, it's always a good day when you get a Salvin cap in the mail too. It's
From
always a
Salvin
good day.
directly.
From Salvin. I mean, sold out already. Oh, they already sold out. Why you gotta tease me like that, Icy? The Knob Goblin? Is that what it was called? I hate that name. I hate that name. But
I hate
it's a
that.
good
I was gonna say I hate that name.
I really hate that name.
I just hate the idea of goblins. I think they're like mischievous and, you know. Irritating,
Speaking of
maybe.
goblins, Diablo 3 anybody? Diablo 4 soon?
Diablo 2, the remaster one.
Oh, that looks
By
good
the way,
too.
guys, when the Diablo 2 remaster and Diablo 4 drop, you won't see me around.
Oh, I already told
keyboards.
everyone, like, yeah,
Yeah,
you guys, sorry, Diablo 4 is coming out. Either we're streaming that or I'm taking a quite long break from streaming for maybe a week or two. So
at least for the first
Yeah.
month of release.
yeah.
Yeah.
D4 is like
lot of-
later.
There's gonna be a lot of people who mysteriously contract COVID that week.
really sick this week.
Going into work.
Sick
Yeah.
with all the evils. A demon caught my soul.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah, I would have liked to pick this up actually. It would have been a fun project. I think that's the other thing too that I'm really enjoying seeing a lot lately too, guys. In the keyboard hobby is just like these smaller kits that people are kind of producing. They don't have to be anything fancy like in an aluminum case. I just think they're fun projects. And if you guys haven't done anything, sorry,
P3D store screws
Yeah.
me up times.
yeah, they have a lot of fun stuff there too. Smaller projects are really fun, honestly. But you know, I don't think we got to the point. I know maybe you don't want to answer it, but what don't you like about the hobby right now?
Oh yeah, I was actually wondering if you're gonna come back to it.
Come back to,
But I mean,
yeah, you know it.
yeah. I know you were going to come back because you need to get an answer out of me, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, of course, like the one thing that I think a lot of people probably have talked about, of course, like flipping is an issue that I think it's partially always gonna be there.
Mhm.
Just it's like an evil, it's like a growing pain in a way. It's gonna be there. As long as there's a difference in supply and demand and all that good stuff, right? We don't have to we don't have to be econ experts here, right, to know that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a few things I don't like about the hobby is that as much as I enjoy like creating content or guiding people with content or like, you know, in streams, like when people ask questions and I answer them and that kind of stuff, I do sometimes wish that when a newcomer approached the hobby, there was a bit less reliance on on the people who are like guiding, like spearheading that side of the hobby, you know, in a way, like, because I feel like there's a lot of like written resources nowadays, but I still kind of feel like I think it's probably biased, but I often feel like people rely on other people's opinions so much. Even if it's not a content creator, even like general enthusiasts, I think people rely on like that validation aspect a lot. That's something I don't really enjoy personally, just because I believe like in a growth kind of mentality, and I personally think that that's a bit of a lazy approach. And personally, I'm not very like keen on it. There's that. Of course, just the overall. There's a bit of a perspective on like best/cookie cutter. That I think still like has always bothered me about the hobby. It's like people will say like key cult, TGR, all that stuff, right? It's the best, right?
Yeah.
Top of the line, premium. But the reality is these people earn their respect and reputation because they just push out high quality products, right? And for example, like the thing about, I'll be honest with you, TGR keyboards, right? They're like nice and like inspired by like, you know, these old customs that are kind of like very clean, wedge like aesthetic, you know, classic, right? But the first like 3 keywords or 4 keywords that TGR released, the Ana was not great, right? For example.
Yeah.
But the thing that people appreciated about Yutzi, right, the man behind TGR keyboards, was that he always fulfilled. He took a long time, but he always fulfilled. He always like took time to do QC. Like he always communicated to people. At least back in the day when the community was smaller, he was able to communicate with people a lot more. Now, of course, people are complaining about like the JV2C being about a year and a half or 2 years now, and it's still not being done and all that stuff. But the thing is, like, you're going to get it if you're a participant of that buy. Like, he's not gonna ghost you.
No, for sure.
So that's what people rely on. Like when people go to a reputable source or designer for keyboards, they know they're going to get a quality product no matter what. But I personally think that just to put that on a pedestal, consider it best, and think of it as like the end goal, right? End game, end goal, like whatever it is. It's like I eventually must have one of those. Personally, I really don't like that mentality. Because there's so much out there that people are making right now, and because there's such a large number of resources out there now, like especially like even for designers, like for example, Designer Atelier or like whatever, like AIO3 is like design server, huge resource. Okay, AIO3's contributions to the community have been great too in general, but there's also a lot of people who just talk about machining, talk about design, talk about CAD, all that stuff, and I feel like those contributions sort of get swept under the rug when someone just generalizes saying like, oh, this brand's keyboards are the best.
Yeah.
It really undermines a lot of effort that a lot of people out there who might actually be even professionally trained in these areas have, but they just don't hit that spotlight because there's already something else eclipsing them. And I think, and it's never gonna like sway back.
And to kind of add to that too, and I want your opinion on this as well, and maybe I'd like to see what you think too, Chase, because you manage big social media accounts. I was talking about this in a discussion on Clubhouse one night, and someone was talking about, we'll kind of lean back to the flipping because that was the conversation, where someone just said immediately like, well, that's just the way it is. There's always going to be flipping. There's nothing we can do there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to be like the shoe hobby no matter what we do. And I feel like because the hobby is at the size it is right now, and because, like you said, people lean on influencers and content creators for like opinions, I feel like education is the most important thing that we can do right now. Being in the spot that we are in, or anyone who has like more of a voice in this hobby, education and letting people know that, for example, best isn't defined by TGR or Key Cult. There's so many cool things happening in the hobby that it's hard to put a best on something. In fact, you shouldn't put a best on something. And even with flipping too, like I feel like education is a very important thing too, is, why is it bad? And I think letting people know that is a really big thing too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have more to say about the education part, or more specifically about it's inevitable, like flipping and all that kind of stuff is inevitable. It is, okay? That's a fact for sure. I do think I might sound a bit radical about it, and make people sort of even sometimes imply that I might sound a bit anti-free market. But in my opinion, the community needs to police its own behavior. Like, the thing is this. The reality is that people have different ideology and different, like, thoughts about this. But if you want to engage with people who share, like, a similar mentality, then you at least have to divulge that idea, right? You have to make sure it's known that your view on flipping, for example, is that it's bad. But people are too afraid to speak up in general because they feel like they're either violating a rule on Mac market, or they're going against the spirit of the free market, which is like people can set the price of whatever they want. And therefore, it will flow according to the market forces, right? But the reality is that as soon as you stop speaking about something, that idea starts to get buried. Right?
Yeah.
And people become more and more afraid of speaking up about it. And this applies to content creators as well. I don't think content creators or anyone who is like in a more public like spotlight should be afraid to express those kinds of opinions.
Yep.
Because the more we avoid the topic, the more it's just going to become the norm that nobody speaks about it. And I'm okay with the idea that yes, because everybody has different ideas, the community is going to get splintered. Like, is going to split apart in different branches. There's going to be the side of the hobby that's going to be kind of hype beastie, and they're going to be like, whatever, these are products, but buy them, flip them, whatever, right? There's going to be another part of the hobby that's going to be like more wholesome, and they're going to be like, oh, we're here to help each other out, whatever. And they might be a lot kind of like more of like a common ground sort of value where people are going to be like, oh well, if I win, but this guy really really wants it, I'm just going to give it to him at retail or whatever that is, right? And they might be a stranger, but I'll treat them as a friend. That might be a bit too extreme, right? Because some people are skeptical and they're going to be like, I wouldn't trust a stranger with selling them things at retail because they're just going to go around to the market and flip it, which is true. Like I've sold things at retail that the next day, like pretty much the day it arrived to them, I saw it on Mech Market under an alt, and I know that they had an alt, right? For example, and I just see it, and I'm like, well, I'm disappointed in you, but I'm not gonna say anything. Or for people who I actually got close with, I was like, I'm disappointed in you. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna talk to you again because you honestly are like, you go against my moral values, for example, right? But I think like people need to sort of be not afraid of speaking about these like things. If they want to see a certain community, like just overall like behavior, they need to foster it. You need to get close to the people who believe in the same things you do. But if you never talk about it just because you're afraid that someone on the internet is going to judge you, then you're going to be stuck in the circle where you're going to be in the middle of people who like behave or believe in completely different things.
Well, and that's why last week, and I'm reading everything in chat, by the way, guys. Thank you guys so much for all the discussion and whatnot. Last week, or I think it was a week or two ago, someone had asked me my opinion on flipping, and I usually give the whole like I don't really support flipping. I'm not really big on it, but I kind of went into details and really expressed some personal thoughts with it, where it's I'll say it again, where it's like I really don't. If your whole life is based off of flipping products immediately, like I know this is super harsh, but I don't see the value you add in anything. And I see a lot of people veil themselves under this, well, I'm flipping stuff because I'm putting it in the right people's hands. And I saw that a lot with GPUs. And I fucking hate that argument. Like you're not doing anyone
that
a
happens
service.
in keyboards too.
Yeah, and I see that in keyboards as well. I hate that argument. It's just so stupid. Like you're not to put that, like you've now fostered that idea in your head that you're doing someone a service by making money off something that they could have just bought themselves. Like I don't understand how that ideology fosters in someone's head, but it's just so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't
just
know
because the market price of something's really high doesn't mean only rich people or people who can afford it deserve it. Why? Like because the initial price of that product was affordable to a whole bracket of people.
Exactly, yeah.
Why does the market price define like who is more deserving of that product?
Yeah.
And for the people that say that, there's no way they can, like, I can't get my mind to a point where like I can see how they would actually believe that to be truth, right? Like that just has to be some type of justification more than it is like true belief of like I'm putting it in the person who, like the true customer, true person, the true consumer of this product.
And a lot of it
can't be a real.
No, that's how they actually think. Like there's a bunch of people that think that way, and I know people that think that way. I have acquaintances, not friends, but acquaintances who think that way about other hobbies, and like not in keyboards, but
fashion. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, fashion is a big one, and they're. At the end of the day, like the sad part about it, and I've really thought about it. I've sat down and really just thought about it. I think we live in a world where making a quick buck is just so easy that to kind of put yourself in a position where you're justifying making a quick buck off doing nothing, you really have to sit down and like train your brain to think that way. And I think there needs to be like support, lend it to, obviously a lifestyle that you want to live, but not everyone needs to live a lifestyle where they're spending big dollars every single day and driving in Ferraris and all this kind of bullshit. Like I personally can't bring my brain to think that way. That's why I have not sold a single, like other than one keyboard, which I've told you guys about, I've not sold a single keyboard in my collection, right? Because at the end of the day, if I don't want something, I'm just going to give it to you guys for free. Like, I'm just going to give it away. I have no need for it. Like, I'm not going to sit here. And obviously, if you guys don't want something, you decide it's not for you, there's no one judging you for wanting to sell your product or, the thing that you bought. There's always going to be, like, an eBay type thing. But I don't know. It's just always been, like, a hot topic for me. It's the same sentence. I took her out and paid for everything and nothing happened. I don't understand. I was nice to her.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's a totally different sentiment, but I totally agree with that, I see. Give a compliment to Faber. Faber, you're looking kind of wonderful today. Thank you so much for being here, my dude. I'm hoping you're having a great night. Hopefully you're enjoying the conversation. Love you. Thank you. Appreciate you. The only thing that keeps the market price going is I can't pronounce that word. I'm so sorry. I'm stupid. And I'm not going to sell a board for less than it's sold before. I also won't flip it. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of that stuff too. Thing is, a lot of people will buy it at those exorbitant prices because people want things, and unfortunately,
it's an emotional thing.
Some people can, don't forget, some people can actually, like, they make a crazy amount of money and they can afford that, and to them that's like a drop in the bucket, and that's just whatever. That's their way of getting things. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to resell your products. It's that ideology of buying in mass or buying with the intent to sell, knowing that you're going to be flipping it right away. And I think that's there's a line with that ideology that's really, you don't want to cross. But again, I don't want to condemn anyone who's wanting to just sell like a used product for, obviously a reasonable price.
I think there's a difference between, getting a product in and realizing it's not for you.
Yeah.
and buying a product specifically just to turn around and sell it immediately.
Yeah.
And I mean, like,
obviously,
in theory, doing that, I don't think is a bad thing. But I think in an industry where you're talking about like products that there's only 40 of them, 50 of them, like you're talking about a very limited runs of things that people are trying to get their hands on. People wait months just for the opportunity to purchase, and then to take that away from somebody just so you can make a couple extra bucks.
Yeah,
I don't know,
it's terrible. Yeah, and I can actually want to talk about Captain's point. Flipping also is focusing all the anger on one side of the transaction. Why is it never hate on the buyer? I think, me personally, I don't always want to blame the buyer. Sometimes, yes, it is someone who wants to spend a lot of money, but a lot of the times it's not always their fault. Like, if sometimes this is something that they wanted, and now they have no choice other than to buy it from someone like this.
I think a lot of the buyers are the people usually who tried to purchase. I mean, not usually.
Sometimes,
but, I mean, there are a lot of cases where those are the people who tried to purchase and failed. Yeah.
And now they're just having to deal with the repercussions of it. Go on, Diego. Sorry.
Both parties are definitely share some blame because obviously one enables the other. That definitely I can't disagree with. One thing I will disagree with earlier, someone commented. Let me go back and see. Oh, the real problem is that the retail price is too low. I don't think that's true. Some things, yeah, I think there is an equilibrium price that could be reached at some point, but that's also assuming that you have a certain supply that's kind of constantly being input. But that's not the case with keyboards because a lot of these things are a single run as well. So you can't justify this one product's kind of like sale outcome for the next one and assume that the equilibrium price has to be higher because the demand for the first one was really big, right? It's not always true. And another thing is, like, keyboards as it is are already a luxury item. So by raising the price, you're actually going to price out a ton of people. In fact, I will be honest with you, if keyboards were more expensive than $700 or whatever that is, I'm not buying it because it's just too much money. I would rather spend those $700 on traveling, or of course, assuming that were possible, or like food. I don't know, anything else, right? Like, there's so many other things I would spend that on, but that's because $700 is simply just a lot of money. And just because someone tells me that because the law of economics, like the laws of economics tells you that the equilibrium price should be higher, it doesn't make sense. Like, for a regular consumer, even if they're enthusiasts, that it feels fair for that to be the right price. Like, I don't think that's true. I think the price of keyboards is already like high as it is. Like, artisans, right? Even then, we're hitting like the $100 per like keycap mark for artisans, for like the popular-ish stuff. Like, even like some of the like in the middle range is between basically like $50 and $75, let's say, plus shipping. Okay, but even in keyboards, we have gone from the Rama M65A, the one that ran with keyclack.com, ran actually very short margin and was extremely cheap for what it was. It was like $220 plus add-ons and shipping. So it was very, very cheap. It should have been priced more like $320 or $330 or something like that. But nowadays, what 60% at $550 US. We see that a lot now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we have.
We see TKLs at $600 US plus retail, and they're mostly the same. Still, there's like top mount TKL or something, or gasket mount quote unquote TKL with a brass weight.
And don't forget, guys, we do, we have pointed out complexities.
Koha's not wrong about the tariffs. That's also true.
Yes.
The
There's
price
that
has
too,
inflated naturally. Yeah. But
and we have pointed out complexities with builds. I know I saw that with complexities and stuff like that too. But we have been seeing boards retail for quite a lot that are very simple. Now, I also want to make a point where I am a firm believer that if you are a designer and you feel like you want to charge something for $600, then go for it. I'm not going to fucking stop you. But don't expect people to buy your product. Like it's the truth. And I think there is just such a demand for things right now that some people might look past that. But there's a lot of interest, and I think that's why I'm so hyped for entry level stuff, because even the Icky sounds great. The car is great, and this is all stuff that's easily accessible. You don't need to like break your back and sell your kidneys for.
Well, and stuff like the NK65 has been cool to see, even on like the flipping side of the market. There's a little bit of a price add-on, but for the most part, I mean, you're seeing them sell for, $20 more than what they are retail.
Yeah,
which is reasonable, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, guys, I don't mean to spark any negative feelings towards anyone. I just think it's a very important conversation. I know we probably have this on Keebcast about flipping and retail stuff like once every 2 Keebcasts now. Sometimes once every Keebcast. And yes, Kimchi, I do want to point out that, I mean, like, Gion's a big outlier from the F18X. And,
exception to the rule.
Yeah,
too,
he's the exception to the rule here.
Them.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we'll leave Gian out of this, but everyone else is I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, he owns the means of production. No, he does. He does own the means of production. Yeah. He owns every little piece of it. So yeah,
so he's the outlier.
He is the worker and the owner. So
yeah,
yeah.
Big shout out to Gian. He makes some cool stuff. But yeah, I think it's a very valuable conversation. I'm glad that you guys can all have a civil conversation about this as per the norm. And thank you guys for doing that. And thank you to Qualified and Kimchi for the tier 1 subs. I appreciate that. We need more people like Gian. I mean, it'll be hard to find more people like Gian to own and to work and to do his marketing and stuff like that. Like it's a big pair of shoes to fill. Proud to be typing on an F1. Yeah, F1s are nice. You've built them, right, Lightning?
Sorry, what was that?
The F1AX, you built one, right?
Oh yeah, I have one, yeah.
Oh yeah, you got yours custom too. Yeah, did you think of it?
Mine wasn't custom actually. So I was reached out by Gian to get a F1AX at the time. But this was like right before he started posting his videos on like laser engraving and stuff.
Oh, so you didn't
know. I actually had no idea that he could do that, and I would have totally asked for something custom, like maybe put my name in Korean or something. I don't know, Didn't know, so I just got a good old plain board.
A good old boring Gian works board. No, I'm joking. They're not boring. They're very pretty boards.
Well, it has like the boring look from the outside, but it's a pretty cool
board. What did you think of it, by the way? Did you like it?
I personally really like it. I think it's so soft. It definitely like all these all the cutouts and all that stuff going on. The way the rubber pieces are mounted makes it so muted sounding, but at the same time very comfortable typing, but kind of like bouncy too. Yeah. I would say it's still kind of different from like what the thermal achieves, but that's also probably because of the form factor. TKL is way larger, so maybe if that were like a 60%, maybe you could start seeing some similarities. But I really like it personally. I really loved it when I built it, and I still really enjoy it when people like have sent me other F18X to build, and it's such a lovely board, and that's assuming that you could purchase it for an accessible price.
Yeah, and I know I don't think he stopped production on them. Has he stopped? I'm not too sure. I think he might be gearing up
most
towards the F2.
recently sold the last like batch
of F1s.
F1s because he wants to move on to F2 and the Vanquish and the Frog TKL, I believe, and there's so
lot of
many
projects.
designs that he's working on,
Holy.
right? But then again, he's a factory, right? So like
Yeah.
it's natural that he's handling a lot of different projects all at once, different pipelines, different intervals, like timelines for that.
Yeah, totally. He stopped F1 production, says Kimchi. Yeah. Frog Pog.
Yeah.
I love the name. Excited for the Vanquish? Yeah. In regards to flipping, I have been selling things for a price that is in between the flipper price, says Asney. Am I pronouncing that right? To discourage flippers from buying and making a ton of profit. Although I would really want to sell something for retail, it's just disappointing when they that when I did try to sell something for retail, they just try to flip immediately. Yeah, and that's what Diego was talking about before too.
Yeah.
You know, the not
You
trusting
kind of, I
people.
think you need to. Yeah, you kind of need to disconnect yourself after that transaction.
Yes, I agree.
Emotionally, because it is inevitable. The reality is, once the other person owns your thing, it's theirs to do whatever they want. So,
Yeah.
I mean, of course, if it's someone you know and they do it, that's when it really hurts. And it happens. I've seen people kind of be like, "Oh, but I have this going on," and I'm like, "Well, but you could have also done this." It's like this was your alternative, but you didn't do that instead.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Someone asked if I want cream pakas, can I use kale blacks instead of creams? I mean, I'm assuming no. I don't know the exact recipe for cream pakas. I am actually not really into Franken switches myself, so I am not too sure if that would work for you or not. Thank you for the response. No worries. If you guys have any other questions, by the way, we're at our hour and a half mark. That I literally looked at the thing before and it said 45 minutes. And now we're already at an hour and a half. So if you guys have any, I know it does fly.
Oh, thank you, dude.
Opal, thank you so much, by the way. And same with you, Nimraps. I appreciate it. Dr. Killswitch, thank you so much for the tier 1. Again, thank you guys for all having this conversation. Thank you, Diego, for having this conversation with us. I know sometimes it feels like a hot topic for some.
I get very passionate.
Me too.
I get very passionate about this.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh no,
I feel like I interrupted you and Chase, and
I really enjoyed that. Like,
so
I mean, conversations like this are what. I mean, we don't get to see people react like this often. You know, we don't get to. These are topics that people don't usually touch, and there's reasons why people don't touch them. But I mean, again, like you said, if you don't touch on them, then they just kind of get piled up on, and then they're never touched on. So this is, we've had these conversations with, for instance, I don't really want to start this conversation, but we've had the same type of conversation with like fakes, like fake keycap sets and that kind of thing, and what's the responses to stuff like that. And those conversations, you know, usually are a little bit more emotionally charged because there's a lot of varying opinions on those types of things, and we usually get some pushback from people within the stream.
We got some pushback one time where it was like, well, a few times where we've got like very defeatist attitudes where it was very like, well, it's bound to happen anyways. It's like, but like, why think that way? Like, why not want better for the community? Like, why not?
Just because it's bound to happen doesn't mean you can't come out and say, I don't like that this is happening.
Yeah.
Just
like,
because it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you can't, that doesn't mean you can't still speak out about it.
Yeah, and I also think that's why the discussion's important, because I think people become defeatist because either sometimes you beat around the bush and sometimes you just beat the horse, and like basically it's just like you talk about it too much but in a very certain specific way, and you kind of forget to see outside the box a bit too. But the discussion kind of has to organically continue, in my opinion, has to be sometimes be brought up like purposefully so that there can be some productive discussion around it, and at least like, you know, the conclusions are likely going to be very similar each time, because you can't like no one individual controls the outcome
exactly
of the collective decision making of all these people.
But the hope is that a few other people out there who think the same way are then encouraged to go out and speak out a little bit against, or at least to try to change some things within their own how they interact with people in the scene and everything. But I mean, again, like it's not like this can be changed overnight.
No, totally.
This isn't something that is just like an epiphany that's like, oh wow, you know, we shouldn't flip things anymore. But it, yeah.
Well, for me, it's always
There
been
were some.
Oh, go on. Sorry, Dio.
Go. No, it's okay. Go ahead, Alex.
Well, I was just gonna say, for me, it's always been a point of like again, I hear this with graphics cards too, and I just hate it with the whole like, why I see other people doing it, I want to make $3,000 and flipping these fucking graphics cards, and then I see people I know and care about have to buy them because they either need it or they want it or something they've been looking for. It's just such a shitty thing, and I get it. You want to make money. You want to live some lifestyle that isn't currently in your, I guess, bracket for what you're doing. I think it's just mentality-wise, do better. Like, for those people who have that mentality, who might be off chance listening to this or thinking about flipping things because they see it's like a quick dollar. And I see this, like, idea of flipping being so ingrained into kids as well and teenagers online. This idea of like even drop shipping, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but this idea of like quick dollars and make money and live this lifestyle, like, just I think as people we all need to, like, me as well, and I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I need to do better on constantly reminding people that I see do this or that I love and care about. Like, that type of mentality isn't a good mentality to have because you're ultimately not contributing much at all. Like, if anything, nothing to society. Like, you're literally just moving product from one end to another that someone could have done themselves. You're a middleman. It's not, I don't even know if it's convenience. It's really not convenient to have to go to Reddit to buy something that I wanted to go buy from a store.
There are some great opinions in chat today
Yeah.
with regards to all this. Like, there are some people who are also suggesting that they kind of take the middle ground. So someone was saying, like, I try to price it between retail and flipping price or whatever, like market price, quote unquote. But first of all, one thing I really want to kind of encourage is, like, an outlier point doesn't define the nature of the whole data set. As a data scientist kind of perspective coming in, it's like people kind of define the max value being sold as the market price, but I personally think it's an outlier. There's a bit of that kind of like perspective going on in the market right now. I think a lot of people say, like, oh, it's sold for this price, then that's the new market price, just because it's the highest one available. But I do think that somewhere in the middle is okay. People have different tolerances for these things.
And to clarify, Rusty, dropshipping necessarily isn't bad. I mean, like, you ever see those like YouTube videos? And this is like the bad side of dropshipping, in my opinion, because there's always a bad side of something. You ever see those YouTube videos where it's like a pyramid scheme of where they try to get young people who might be struggling for work to get into these like weird dropshipping things? Yep. I think that's the really dangerous side of like dropshipping. And you guys know what I'm talking about, right? You ever see those things?
I made X $1,000 by doing this in 20 days.
That's the shitty part about it.
I don't
the
like
gurus.
those,
That's what they're called, Rusty. Yeah, the gurus, the guru people. But there's always these guru people of every community, right? Like, just like, I know what I'm talking about. Come follow me and get under my wing, and we're gonna scoop you up and get you into this weird scheme of things.
Again, I don't think like the whole thing is inherently bad. I just think that in this instance, like, you are affecting other people. Like, there are people that are pushed out of, no longer have the opportunity to purchase that product because they can't afford it now because it's at a scalper price, And so you are affecting other people by doing that,
Also, I wanted to mention to Kimchi, he said massive ups to Diego for being an incredible community member, but also a fantastic resource for keyboard science and history. This man's an OG, and his experiences should not be underestimated. Damn, that was really sweet of you, Kimchi.
Yeah, that's really nice of you, but OG makes me feel so old.
Oh, I know. Age is creeping up on me too. Amazon, arbitrage is a good. I don't even know what that word means. Is it like a brand of some sort? Is it a good example of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Is it what, like probably like a video network of things?
It's where you buy something for less than it's selling for on Amazon, and then you sell it on Amazon for the price it's on Amazon. So you're making
I don't know.
Any type of retail arbitrage.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There is some stores that I know dropship that I will shop from because it's convenient to get everything in one spot, and that's a good example of it. But then there's also the guru side of things, which we talked about too. But again, like, even things, and thank you, Ramen Champ. I appreciate the tier 1. You got a nice dumpy, dude. We gotta.
You threw that in there so casually.
I had to, bro. I've been using that word so often lately. I have to give it to the OG dumpy, dude. And then, not the dumpy. Listen, not to get derailed. Not you too, Alex. Unfortunately, me too. But there's like that side, even though like I use graphics cards as like the best example, because I feel like that's like the easiest thing that people have been kind of like. And
PlayStation 5s. My God,
PlayStation 5s as well. But yeah, anyways, I thought it was safe spot. I'm sorry, Ramen. It's never a safe spot. Can you ask Lightning the story of his tiger? Oh, that's a good point.
Oh. Yeah. So I was actually explaining this to Chase because he asked. So this tiger over here, his name is a very long name, but basically we were on stream one night. This was like a longer stream, I think. And my chat decided to raise some funds because we found this on Amazon. And let me actually find the listing for it because it's great. I'll post it in chat right now. So JD comes from the land of Amazon forest maybe, but so here JD my chat raised the funds for JD, and if you look at the photos in that particular Amazon listing, you'll see that there's some kid models who are having a hard time.
They look uncomfortable.
They look
rather
like
uncomfortable. They don't want to be there.
They really don't look like they want to be there, and so chat was like, we should get it so that you can pose like that. And so we actually I'll post some links for the photos.
Oh, did you?
And I absolutely did. And so we purchased this. It arrived in 2 days, and took it out, and I realized when I took it out that it's like 6 foot long. This tiger is huge. Okay.
Did you not realize it was that big?
Well, at first I thought I was like, oh, it's big, but I didn't realize it was this big. In person, it just looks so much different, I think. But yeah, he's a good boy though. And so his long name is actually, the full name is José Diego Luis Escobar Martínez de Guanajuato, short for JD. I mean, in short, it's going to be JD.
Of course,
but
naturally.
Yeah. Of course, it's a very Hispanic name because my name is Diego and Hispanic culture and all. Gotta stick to the origin story,
Also, chat, I want to point out that I'm not the only person with a messy bed today. Sorry, Diego, I'm outing you here. I am not the only person who has a messy bed. So here's my thoughts.
All good.
Next time you guys are on Diego's stream, which you guys should definitely check out Diego on Lightning Keyboards. You can hit !guest. Why don't you guys, instead of saving points to make my bed, why don't you save points to make Diego's bed?
Oh no! So it's time to add a. It's time to add a channel point reward for it.
It's time to add.
They're never gonna be satisfied. They're never gonna be satisfied with
Chozo has enough points actually, and we just started doing the prediction stuff on my channel, so I'm scared. Chozo holds the power to make me stop stream to go make.
Wait. Chozo has enough points to make you make
he
your
has
bed?
enough points, dude.
So you have to live every day of your life knowing that Chozo at any moment can pull the trigger.
I am not kidding you. Every time I start stream, I literally look at my bed. I'm like, should I just make it today so he doesn't have to fucking spend the points? Like, I am not. Ever since he told me he has enough, I literally have been like, I don't know if I want to start stream today.
Chozo, I want to let you know, about a month ago, Alex let me know that you were getting close, and he was like, I think I'm going to raise the cost of making my bed on my...
Redeem points for Diego to comb his mustache? Comb his mustache and redeem points for Alex to make his bed? Diego, do you want to comb your mustache? Yeah, there you go. What a scam. Alex would do that bullshit? What do you mean I would do that bullshit?
He didn't do it. To be fair, he didn't do it.
I have never changed any points on you guys. Never. The only thing I've ever done is I've limited the wait, was it? What did I limit again? The amount of compliments, because one time you guys all redeemed compliments at the same time and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, your compliments were very cheap at the beginning. That's definitely true.
I raised the price and had to put a cooldown on it. I don't know, Diego, do you have a timer on your hydrates?
I do.
I think
I have it on.
Do I not have a timer on hydrates? I think I got rid of it, but you guys can still technically drown me. All right? And it's not It's not healthy. I don't have any water right now, so no one do it. You guys are just gonna get refunded. I have no more water. I have no more water. I can pause them. Chillin, I have literally one sip. I'll do this for you, Chillin. Go and get water? He lost the recipe. I lost the recipe. I don't remember how to make it. Just like I don't know how to make ice cubes. Lost the recipe for that too. Don't worry, Alex. Little do you know we're all saving. If one day, like, I don't even... there's only can be one per stream. I only have one bed, guys.
That's true.
Think about it.
That's true.
Think about it. Nice sippy cup? Why does everyone think it's a sippy cup? It's the shaky cup. Why hasn't everyone been calling it a sippy cup the last few days? You're going to make me unpause all the things now? I'm sorry, Chozo. But guys, do you guys have any last questions for Diego, Mr. Lightning Keyboards? We are reaching almost 2 hours, and typically we do 1.5 hours. Do you guys have any last questions? Yeah, roughly. Usually it goes a little higher. 500k for Alex to go sleep. I don't think I'd ever do a sleep stream. I'd be too embarrassed. Make bed, sleep stream, make bed again, subathon. Oh god. I don't know if I'd ever
Sleep
do that.
streams, TOS.
Is it actually?
Can't do sleep streams. Yeah, I think you can't sleep on stream.
Oh, interesting.
That's TOS.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things as like content creators for Twitch you cannot do.
You should do like a 500k channel points where you have to show off your entire keyboard collection or something like
That would literally be too long. Like, I'd have to go walk over there. That's a big walk, chat. Look how
That's what
long.
I'm saying.
All right, and then I have to walk back to this desk.
It's a lot of work for 500k.
It's a lot of
points,
exercise. I don't need that in my life. That's negativity. Important question for Diego: would you buy Alex No Toes body pillow? Oh my god, not this.
Oh, absolutely. Gotta add the PogChamp to the team.
Listen, I heard you guys
gonna-
mention
it's-
you guys want a mustache on one side. What if, hear me out, chat, hear me out. What if, instead of having the body pillow with a mustache on one side, what if we make the mustache like a 3D mustache on the body pillow? So it's like fibers coming off. Hear me out.
Oh,
It's not a
that's so
bad
good.
idea, right?
That's so
Kind of interesting. No?
I would
Velcro?
Nobody? What do you mean? Well, one person, Omar said yes. Like a tickly, yes. Mustache shaped body pillow? No, actually, that's a good idea too. Fuck.
I just want a tater hater pillow.
I hope you know I am not endorsing or running this product, but if you guys want to use the photo and you guys are named Diego or Apiary or Space Cables or Chase, then yes, go ahead and run it, I guess. Just straight up weasel hair? Why weasel hair? What is that supposed to mean?
We
Free
got
mustache?
permission.
Free mustache
We've done
rides? Oh, that's gross. Tater hater plushie? I mean, those already, not the tater hater plushie, but that already exists. Finally, I can make the follicles of Alex's face on my skin. All right, this is getting weird. All right. Kim G kick W, dude. All right. Thank you again to Mr. Lightning Keyboards. If you guys haven't, check him out. I'm going to type an exclamation point guest here. We're going to wrap up stream. Let's see who we can raid. Do you want to raid anyone today, Diego? Do you want to pick?
Let me see who's currently live.
I don't know who's live. There's a lot of people on my list today. There's a
Do
lot.
you guys, by any chance, like Dungeons and Dragons?
Do you guys like Dungeons and Dragons?
Because if
Benares
so,
is
there
streaming?
are 2 wonderful community members who go by the name of Prime Caps also, who
Oh.
do Dungeons and Dragons streams every
We're letting
week.
Diego pick today. Do you want to actually link it to me?
Yeah,
put it
they're
in
called
chat.
Chat versus Everything.
Can you put it in chat? I'm
Called-
too stupid.
Yeah.
/ raid. Oh, it's literally chat versus everything. Oh, that's not how you spell raid though. All right, thank you again to Mr. Diego. If you guys want, why isn't this working now?
Oh, is there a typo maybe?
No, it's Twitch being weird. Okay, I think I got it. Is that right? Is that their logo? Is
Yeah.
this right? Okay, perfect. Check out Prime Caps. Prime Caps is also, they make cool keycaps. So you guys can ask them questions about keycaps. I don't know if they'll answer though, because they might not, but maybe. But send them some love. I'm actually going to check them out too. And everyone have a great day. Thank you again, Diego. Thank you again, Chase. Thank you again, everyone
Yeah.
who came out tonight. One last thing. What's your macro, Alex? This is the DMQ spin, but it's sold out. I think they're restocking though. It's the DMQ design spin. It's cool. But yeah, everyone have a great night. Enjoy Chat vs. Everything, playing D&D, the Prime Caps, and take care, everybody. Goodbye.